All right, welcome back to the channel, man. We got a great fight coming up on ESPN this weekend between Vasily Lomachenko, the WBA and the WBO 135-pound champion, and the 135-pound WBC franchise designee, if you want to count that nonsense, and Teofimo Lopez, who's the IBF champion, and Errol Spence Jr. is letting you know that the young bull is going to pull it out. Let's talk about Errol Spence Jr.'s picking of Teofimo Lopez to beat Vasily Lomachenko this week in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. So, Errol Spence Jr., who is the reigning and defending unified 147-pound champion, holding the WBC and the IBF straps in that weight division, has given his 2 cents on the big fight coming up this weekend between Teofimo Lopez and Vasily Lomachenko on ESPN. A great fight, one I am definitely looking forward to, one that is either going to crown Teofimo Lopez as the leader of the young crew of fighters that are coming up, the next generation of fighters that are coming up and going to take over the sport of boxing, or it's going to be Vasily Lomachenko saying, "Hey man, young buck, slow down a little bit." Errol Spence Jr. is betting on we taking over, the young buck taking over. Now, what is important about that? Derek James was on the channel yesterday, and you should go check out the interview. Really, it is I enjoy doing the interview, and I think that there's a lot of really valuable information in there. But I interviewed Derek James, and I asked Derek James, like, what do you think about upcoming fights? I asked him about the Gervonta Davis versus Leo Santa Cruz fight. I asked him about the Terrence Crawford, I asked him about the Terrence Crawford-Kell Brook fight. I asked him about the Teofimo Lopez versus Vasily Lomachenko fight. And for the Teofimo Lopez versus Vasily Lomachenko fight, and I think it was pretty consistent through every one, he said, look, man, I'm riding with the American. He's like, I think I haven't seen Teofimo Lopez fight a lot. Obviously, I've seen Vasily Lomachenko fight a couple times, which is really odd, man. It's like, not odd, but it's like you can, that is a dude that is really, really, really into his fighters. He's like, I'm watching my fighters and I'm watching the fighters that my fighters are going to fight. And that's where like all of his focus is, man. Very, very focused guy. But he said he was picking the Americans, right? Just like you hear Robert Garcia, when Robert Garcia asked, and I can tell you who Robert Garcia is picking between Vasily Lomachenko and Teofimo Lopez. I can tell you without him asking. He's gonna go for Teofimo Lopez. He's gonna say, well, hey, I think Teofimo Lopez has got a really good chance. Because Teofimo Lopez is a fellow Hispanic. So he is, and Robert Garcia will tell you that absolutely, that's who I'm going for. If you listen to Robert Garcia talk about who, anytime, even in the most gross mismatches between guys, he's like, well, I really think my guy has an opportunity, right? Obviously, because he's going to ride with his guys. Same thing if you ask Igis Klimas, who's the Ukrainian, I believe he's Ukrainian, but he definitely is like the manager of a lot of those Eastern European guys that come to the United States. Vasily Lomachenko, Kovalev, Usyk, those guys are all with Igis Klimas. If you ask Igis Klimas who he thought was going to win fights, he's going to be picking the Ukrainian guy. But, it's only in the United States where Americans can't. Let me get this right. In this particular case, Errol Spence Jr. or Derek James picking an American is going to be just fine. That's the patriotic thing to do. But let that American look like Kasim Uma. And then it's going to be a completely different case altogether, dude. But Teofimo Lopez, I think not only because that this is a good pick because he's American, because Teofimo Lopez has a good opportunity to beat him. And when you get plus 330 on a guy like Teofimo Lopez, you might want to take that, man. Now, I personally am not a guy that really puts my money out there on fights like that because, there's Tyson Furies in the world. After the Deontay Wilder-Tyson Fury fight, I don't even know if I'll ever want to gamble because you can just think you really know what's going to happen in the fight, but then a guy will whip out like go gadget, and that's Boxing Ego's joke. I don't like to steal people's jokes, but like Tyson Fury with that glove thing, right? Go gadget. His glove is way out the side of his, way past the end of his hand. So you just never know with boxing. So, but a plus 330, if you're the type of dude that's going to put your money on something like that, yeah, absolutely, I'd ride with that. So, and I don't know whether Errol was saying it because he thought he was going to win, Teofimo was going to win, or because he thinks that money, that 330 is way too much to pass up. Is too much to pass up on. But as far as the fight goes, both of these guys, man, when this fight I'm interested in what's going to happen when the fight is over. If you listen carefully to the interviews that took place on ESPN, between Vasily and Teofimo, when Joe Tessitore, I also did a video about this the other day. So in this, I'm referencing something that I discussed in more detail in another video. But if you listen to them, what they said about Vasily Lomachenko was that if Vasily Lomachenko were to beat Teofimo Lopez, that would mean that Vasily Lomachenko is the best fighter post Mayweather in boxing, right? Which includes guys like Terrence Crawford and Andre Ward. Now, Andre Ward for me with Vasily Lomachenko, man, it's just get out of here. He's never going to get Andre Ward's accolades. I mean, he's never going to catch up with Andre Ward. He's too old. He's too old and he got too far to go, okay? So that's not good. That is absolutely not going to happen. But with Teofimo Lopez, the thing about it is this. Mauricio Herrera from the WBC claims, now even though he changed his story, right? This is the WBC changing their story with this franchise belt thing, that Teofimo Lopez has asked that he be named the franchise champion if he beats Vasily Lomachenko. The franchise champion, according to the WBC, does not have to have mandatories, which means that Teofimo Lopez, according to them, will be an undisputed champion, even though there's also a WBC 135-pound champion there named Devin Haney. Now, when Bob Arum was asked the question, he said, well, every belt, there's 4 belts in every division. Yeah, Bob, but nobody's confused about any of those divisions, who the champion is, because they've settled in. The WBA super champion is the champion. If there is no WBA super champion, then there is no champion. The guy with the WBA regular, not in any of the weight divisions, is considered to be the WBA champion. The WBO got all, matter of fact, the WBC, before the franchise championship, the WBC had the diamond belt. Nobody thinks that the diamond belt or the onyx belt or the Cinco de Mayo belt or any of the other belts that you guys make are the champion. The WBC makes are the champion other than the WBC regular champion. Every other champion other than is not named Teofimo Lopez or Canelo Alvarez holds the WBC regular championship. Well, if Vasily Lomachenko moves up, if Teofimo Lopez moves up, right? Think about this. If Teofimo Lopez moves up to 140, beats Vasily Lomachenko and moves up to 140 pounds, he's still the franchise champion at 135, right? Because you never lose it. He can move up to 135 pounds. If Teofimo Lopez moves up to 140 pounds and he's the WBC franchise champion and he never fights at 135 pounds, how is anybody supposed to ever be the WBC champion again? I mean, it just doesn't work. You know what I mean? Vasily, look, is Jermell Charlo the 160-pound champion? Mauricio Suleiman says that Jermall Charlo is the 160-pound champion at middleweight, or is he not the champion? And it's Canelo. That fight that you just charged a sanctioning fee and held, where Jermall Charlo beat Sergey Deverenchenko and everybody recognized him as the WBC champion, is is Jermall Charlo not a champion? Because if Devin Haney is not a champion, that means Jermall Charlo's not a champion. And you dang sure just treated Jermall Charlo like a champion when he was on pay-per-view. See what I'm saying? And that's the cloud that is hanging over this fight, is Devin Haney in the WBC and their insistence on acting as if this is an undisputed fight when the other WBC regular guy, Jermall Charlo, is being treated as the legitimate champ in another weight class. So what is it, WBC? Which is it? Is the WBC franchise champion really the champion at lightweight, but he's not really the champion at 160? Or is Canelo really the champion at 160 as long as Jermall Charlo isn't in the room or on pay-per-view? But while Jermall Charlo is on pay-per-view and we can charge you sanction fees, Jermall Charlo's the real champion. Will Devin Haney magically become the champion all of a sudden when Teofimo Lopez is at 140 pounds, but he's still the WBC 135-pound franchise champion if Devin Haney gets on pay-per-view? So your championship is now dependent upon whether or not your fight is on pay-per-view and how much money it's going to earn? That's the dark cloud hanging over this, and it's ridiculous. Anyway, that's my take on the matter. You let me know what you think. And with that, I'm out. Peace.